Sometimes, I'd like to think quite frequently, we talk about some pretty important and serious stuff on this channel. Like, for example, recently, the UK government going full-force tyranny over the Russell Brand controversy. But sometimes we just simply bully the mainstream's game media. Because it is so very easy. And I have been trying to cut down on the low-hanging fruits. I have, and by and large, I think I've succeeded. For example, you haven't even seen me comment on the recent wave, number 742 billion, of the female space marine controversy. Heavy quotation marks implied there, of course. Where the pro-female space marine side's primary argument has basically boiled down to nobody cares. And since nobody cares, we who really do care about adding female space marines into the setting should be allowed to do so, goddammit. This, incidentally, is why we need to reintroduce basic logic lessons into teaching and schooling, but details. However, sometimes a fruit so thoroughly subterranean, so monstrous as to be the pitch-perfect fit for one of those old-school movie monster tile thing, emerges. Sometimes there's a fruit of such tantalizing vastness that you simply cannot ignore it. And Polygon here has provided us with quite the peanut on this occasion. Nuts are fruits, incidentally. With the headline reading, Elon Musk doesn't know his mercy fetish is boring. Oh, you know this is gonna be good. That's a headline and a half right there. Uploading that picture of Amber Heard was also loser behavior. Not only was it a boring fetish, it was also a loser behavior. I don't know, getting your hot girlfriend to dress up in cosplay sounds pretty alpha to me, but oh well. In May 2016, the billionaire Elon Musk and actress Amber Heard hung out at the Met Gala. Hung out. Just weeks before, Heard filed for divorce from Johnny Depp. The two had met several years before while Heard was filming Mecheth Kills, for which Musk had been brought on as a consultant. But it was at the prestigious fashion charity event that the two hit it off as friends. That same month, Blizzard Entertainment launched its first new game franchise in years with a colourful hero shooter, Overwatch, which would go on to sell over 50 million copies. And years later, these two moments in pop culture history intersected. It actually is kind of funny, isn't it? On the one hand, Overwatch, which emerged as an enormous success initially due to its derpy-ass balancing and rather interesting gameplay, shall we say, has later fallen completely off the radar because, well, it stopped being funny and became utterly irrelevant. Meanwhile, Elon Musk, the seemingly boring billionaire, is now one of the most interesting people on the earth. The future is a weird place. On September 12th, Elon Musk, a biography by Walter Isaacson was released. Isaacson spent 2 years with the current owner of X, Twitter, producing a wooden recounting of Musk's life of entrepreneurship and struggles with family, mental health, and relationships. Casually tossed into the chapter about his on-and-off-again entanglement with Heard was this 2-sentence bombshell with no additional information. He told her she reminded him of Mercy, his favorite character in the video game Overwatch, so she spent 2 months designing and commissioning a head-to-toe costume so she could roleplay for him. Roleplay. Indeed. At least one review of the book picked out this detail, which instantly became a new reason for the internet to clown on Musk. Undeterred by shame, Musk took the replies of a joke post retweeted next to his coverage to wordlessly post proof in the form of a private picture of Heard in the costume, reportedly without her permission. See, this is the thing, everyone was like, you didn't do that, and Musk was, I have the receipts. Which, to be honest, was pretty funny. And in separate posts mentioned how cool it was. It kinda was, though. The candid photo of the actors in a skimpy corset version of the support hero's armor spread quickly through social media, especially in the Overwatch community. Everyone seemed all too happy to gawk at a photo posted in a way that comes dangerously close to revenge porn. Well, I mean, yeah, sort of, but it wasn't really a revenge porn. It was more like, look, my girlfriend cosplayed for me. That, and when you had to take into consideration the rather, nutty relationship of, nutty history, more correctly, of Amber Heard and the countless allegations both from her and against her, it all does seem extra funny that she's role-playing Mercy, doesn't it? The billionaire is a long-time fan of Overwatch. He mentioned it being one of his favorite games in 2017, and he exchanged tweets with his official Overwatch Twitter account in 2020 a few times, revealing that he is a Torbjorn main. A man of culture. Torbjorn was the one character I sort of had fun with in the original Overwatch, mostly because you could abuse the ever-living shit out of him. And offensive Torbjorn is very, very, very funny. Don't you deny it. For all his money, Elon Musk acts like a typical sexist gamer bro. Ah yes, we are done with the framing. Now begins l'assault, or l'assault more correctly. In this case, has Overwatch as his game of choice. Him ignoring the privacy of his ex-girlfriend, who has written about having been sexually assaulted in the past. Ah, yes. The sexually assault accusations surrounding Amber Heard. Now, the problem is, many of these accusations appear to be rather spurious due to the simple fact that Amber Heard appears to accuse every single creature who breathes the same atmosphere as her of some sort of a misdeed, be it bullying, sexual misconduct, abuse, yada 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 yada. She's not only the girl who cried wolf, she's the girl who fabricated an army of woolen wolves up in the mountain to convince the farm folks that she was totally telling the truth, which they only discovered after, pulling down one of the woolen wolves. Details. In order to prove it happened and win cool points, feels no different than any other random dude bragging about something like this. Despite Musk having been named one of this year's most influential people, the fact that Overwatch community joined in quickly afterwards, using the exchange as an opportunity to mock Mercy mains, is also not surprising. We are now going to pivot this into a I play Mercy, please don't bully her part of the thread. Both parties have the same deeply weird and misogynistic relationship to the hero. You will forgive me for the long lead-in, it's all good build-up, trust me. Mercy occupies a specific space in Overwatch culture, a lot of which is tied up in the persistence of sexist attitude in the larger gaming community. God, we have returned to 2016. Which I suppose is fitting, seeing as Overwatch came out in, 2017? It's kind of brilliant, actually. Oh, everything is sexist now, and the gamer milieu at large is sexist. Why? Well, because some dude on Twitter posted a a picture of his girlfriend wearing a hot cosplay. It's all interconnected, you must see. She is deeply beloved by people who main her, which also consider a uniquely low-skill hero. Can you argue against it? I mean, she is. She's incredibly useful, don't get me wrong, but she is also an incredibly low-skill hero, due to her more collaborative playstyle and decreased emphasis on aiming. Even though this characterization is an oversimplification at best. Decreased emphasis on aiming. I would honestly say that pointing your thing towards someone and then having the beam automatically guide onto them is less of a de-emphasization on aiming and more of an abject removal, but oh well. He's very, very salty about this as well. This is the entire rationale behind this article, mind you. This is a person who is unironically genuinely cucked by the fact that Amber Heard cosplayed as Mercy for Elon Musk, and he's very, very angry about it. This dovetails with the perception that only women play Mercy. Women or extraordinarily effeminate men. Excuse me, hold on one. Nico. I rest my case. As well as the perception that women are not good at video games. No further comment. Actually, you know what? No. I do have a further comment, and that is the recent cast for the Pro League of Legends female part of the game, which seems to be occupied nearly exclusively by transgender men. There you go. This is my commentary on that. I suppose we could mention Vea Victus as well, the most dunked on team in League of Legends history, but honestly, there are some dead horses that should be allowed to finally rest. This earns Mercy mains, regardless of gender, he really is salty, a truckload of sexist harassment, whether in text or voice chat. You just know that this dude, who is a blatant Mercy main, has been sent one too many spicy messages telling him to get back into the kitchen. Despite being so hated, Mercy has an appealing visual design, which makes Elon's own interests more legible. Being white, blonde, body normative, and feminine allows Mercy to fall straight into stereotypical and white supremacist, because everything is white supremacist, you must see. Ideas about purity and saintliness. Ah yes, it is the fact that she is white and blonde that leans into the saintly aspiring aspect of her, not the enormous fucking wings shooting out of her back, or the halo on her head. No, it is her skin color and her blondness that really seals the deal. At least in the eyes of this one Polygon writer. Which also making her the ultimate tabula rasa to project broad sexual fantasies onto. I mean, yeah, in fact, I do believe she was specifically designed for that, along with half the cast of Overwatch, which is in large part the reason why it was so popular. Well, Overwatch porn has long been a category of interest that tops the charts on Pornhub, indeed. Mercy herself dominates quite a few of those searches specifically, whether in animated form or by way of a performer dressed as her. A performer. A Pornhub performer. You know how we often mock the left for having basically adopted the procreational strategy of becoming the ultimate white knight defender in the hope that if they simp loudly enough, some woman somewhere will feel charitably enough towards them to toss them some pity pussy? Well, this, I believe, is the apex example of that. If you simply defend them enough, someone, somewhere, who happens to cosplay as Mercy might take notice of you. The idea of a girlfriend doing this in private would absolutely be the dream of some guys. Well, thank you for hammering home the point. I shouldn't have stopped. He was going to finish the point for me. This is where the rubber meets the road with Mercy as a playable character, a media object in a performance when something is so specifically gendered as female. Gendered as female. God help me. All of these ideas then get reproduced in a myriad of strange ways. She's a low-skill hero. That has nothing to do with the fact that she's female, that has to do with the fact she's a low-skill hero. But she's played at a professional level in esports, because she's also very powerful, and for a long time was, well, completely and utterly overpowered. She's mained by toxic girls, but men still fancy about getting their girlfriend to play her or about falling in love with their Mercy pockets. The sexual fantasies of the author is on full display. It's not a stretch then to see why something like a heel sluts community exists for Overwatch. A lot of Mercy porn frames her as demure and coquettish, or more explicitly submissive. Thus the logical conclusion, wouldn't it be great to have a hot nerdy girlfriend who hung on your every word, obeyed your every command, and unquestionably respected your power? For once, you and I agree, because yeah, that does sound pretty cool. I don't think I obsess about it to quite the same degree as you do, but sure, that does indeed sound appealing. I love the entire framing of this article as basically this person's own little sexual fetish paradigm. And to add on to it, whilst this is a perfectly fine kink to practice in spaces that are designed for it. I love this idea too. Specifically designated kink spaces. Oh, you want a loving girlfriend who likes playing video games with you? Well, that's in fetish box B over there. Keep your filthy, disgusting fetishes to yourself. My god. If that needs to be in a kink box, I am very afraid to ask what you consider to be a real pervy fetish. This conception of Mercy also has a genesis in the Overwatch community's weird behavior about her. I don't think there's anything weird with sexualizing Mercy. In fact, I think you're very weird if you don't. Which can be mapped over the existing heteropatriarchal power dynamics. You mean the basic standard norm of every single sexual relationship, the majority of which anyways, in the last few thousand years of human existence. That one. You know, Kinkbox B, as you put it. That exists outside of the designed kink spaces. My dude, I know you're pretty deep into your fetish space here, but for just a moment, allow me to put aside the mockery and just simply say that having a girlfriend that likes you, and may even indeed be nerdy, does not need to be a designated fetish box. That can simply be our relationship. Not every sort of interaction with the opposite gender needs to be quantified as some sort of kink or aberrant behavior. You do not need a special room for this relationship. This is not something that needs necessarily to go on behind closed doors with a padlock at the entrance. Then again, I suppose any and all sexual behavior is a kink of sorts if you are being currently cucked by Elon Musk on the internet. All of this floats under the circumstance of Musk posting a photo of Amber Heard and is ricocheting across social media. Musk's biography spends a lot of time on how he was someone who eventually rose to success out of the hardship of being bullied, and yet he seems to be the biggest bully of them all, especially to the women in his life. What he describes as a dark vortex surrounding his time with Heard, Musk still feels emboldened to look cool to other random men online by sharing this private photo. Have you ever considered that dark vortex might refer to Amber Heard being a very abusive woman towards him? That the relationship abuse here might have been female to male rather than the other said side? So this is in essence a bit of revenge, but perhaps justified? Just a consideration to be had, considering all we've heard about Amber Heard. After all, she does indeed seem to be nuttier than your average squirrel's turds. It's deeply insecure behavior from someone who is already functionally bulletproof due to his wealth and privilege. It is deeply insecure behavior. My good man, you have written a lengthy article complaining about the fact that Elon Musk fucked your waifu. Fucked your waifu in the form of an admittedly hot Hollywood actress. I hesitate to point this out, but if we are talking about deep insecurities, I would avoid looking into any mirrors in the immediate future. Due to his wealth and privilege, but it's also just like a DPS player to need to overweight a DPS player. Torbjörn, the DPS main of choice. I know, actually, I suppose in one of the earlier patches, yes, you could do some hilarious bullshit with that overcharged turret. But it's like, oh, it's not that he's a classical jock or anything, it's that he's a DPS player. Need to all work and underappreciate support to keep his self-esteem boosted. You know, back in the day, we whined about jocks in much the same terms as this. But now that gaming has become the modern-day cultural media, we have the bullied, oppressed class complaining about DPS players. In this respect, at least, we can applaud Overwatch for having created a cultural phenomenon, the equivalent of being bullied all throughout high school. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, but kudos to Blizzard for that at least. Yeah. Right. Subterranean fruit mode off. Just a little bit of humor to brighten one's day. After all, the Writers Guild strike ended relatively recently, and the Screen Actors Guild strike might also be tapering down. We need a little bit of funnies now in these dark times where we will soon be returning to mainstream television. Until next time, I've been Arch. Thank you all very much for watching, and I do hope to see you all again soon. And remember, if a rich man cucks you out of your internet waifu, keep it to yourself, I guess. Writing lengthy articles on mainstream media sites will really do nothing to alleviate the situation. Have a good day.